Dune Awakening is currently an absolute disaster. There are no two ways about it, an utter, aimless mess. And I don't know how much time or grace the devs have with the community to try and salvage this wreckage. Patch 1.1.20 is out and has been really rough. I want to discuss with you what I think is the core problem here. But before that, let's review the important changes in the patch, the things they backtracked or tweaked since the test server announcement, and the really bad decisions they made as well. Let's dive in. The patch was last minute delayed, but only for a day, which you can say wasn't a promising start. And now it's out, followed by a hotfix the next day, fixing some urgent inventory and vehicle loss, game-breaking bugs. The good stuff is mostly the quality of life changes. A search bar in the exchange and reorganizing it, or a similar bar in your production devices, a deposit all button for water and blood, and to be honest, the single best change in this patch, lowering the absurdly loud noise of ornithopter engines. I go in a bit more detail when it comes to those changes in my previous video, when they first released the patch notes 2 weeks ago, so maybe check that out first. But in the grand scheme of things, do those quality of life overdue changes really make a difference? I don't think so. Let's move on to the new changes and the tweaked or reworded notes. If you weren't aware, because most people are quitting, there's a ton of abandoned bases in Haga Basin. Many bored individuals trying to find something to do or content to make found a way to get into those bases, and if they can find the sub-thief, they can kite an NPC and make them shoot the sub-thief till it breaks. Then you can plant your own sub-thief instead, and you own everything in that base. This is now fixed. NPCs can no longer damage structures in the PvE areas. The other thing they changed is the wording here. It's now specific to when the worm body is above ground and on open sands. So this is a little bit more forgiving than initially pitched. They completely removed that line, so I guess they took that back and they're not going to arbitrarily punish compactors. They will just make power consumption linearly scale. Now let's look at the PvP related changes and talk about the utter disaster on our hands. Speaking of disasters, overpaying for games is one you can actually avoid. That's where instant gaming comes in. They've got huge discounts on the latest games, gift cards and subscriptions with instant delivery, so you can start playing right away. Plus, their 24/7 human support is always there if you need help, and they offer multiple ways to pay to make it easy for everyone. Grab your deal through my affiliate link in the description or just scan the QR code you see on the screen. There's also a link down there to a giveaway for a game of your choice. Big thanks to Instant Gaming for supporting the channel and to you for supporting my content. Now back to the PvP changes. Colliding ornithopters will now get knocked back to separate them. This will mitigate the griefing done to carriers by swarming them with multiple ornithopters. Assault and carriers can also use their boost to increase their max vulture speed, and carriers with thruster boosts can now cut their losses by dropping the cargo and going into vulture mode to be able to flee and at least save the carrier. And they have made rocket missiles 4 times heavier and cost 3 more duraluminum ingots. And the last significant change here, which for some reason is confusing so many idiots on the internet, is getting rid of the bug that allowed unbuilt walls to support Pentashield boxes. In fact, there's a ton of morons on Reddit and Discord that think this fix is related to unraidable bases in the deep desert. That's completely irrelevant. Some of those morons even raided my comments on the last video. I'll explain this one more time just for the sake of knowledge and community service. The problem with unraidable bases comes from the fact that Pentashield bodies do not take damage. Only the corners could. This means if you can tuck your base in the PvP area of the deep desert under some rocks, where the corners are hidden inside the rocks, so they're untargetable, and the only visible surface of your base is the Pentashield, this becomes a base that is immune to damage. In the patch notes, it says this: End of story. This fixes that problem, and now no base can be unraidable. Pentashields are now walls that are transparent and consume power. Full stop. The problem ends here. Now the way to build those shields with intended ways or the bugged way with unbuilt walls is irrelevant to the topic, because no matter how you build those shields, they can take damage. So with the invisible wall glitch or not, Pentashields can take damage and break. I hope this is clear enough. I honestly don't know how to make it any clearer. And I know some people argue that the health of the shields is miscalculated based on their size, but that's also a different problem that should be fixed by changing those values. And none of that is even mentioned in the notes. So it's on the devs to bring that to light and address it directly, if they want to. Long story short, removing the ability to build unsupported Pentashield boxes with invisible walls fixes nothing for player experience. It just removes an option that some people had to make cool builds. Now all those are PvP balance changes, right? Well, that's hilarious because they also removed PvP. Yeah, they kind of removed PvP from the game. Medium Spice is now in the PvE safe zone, not just small ones like the ones in Haga Basin. And on top of that, Stravidium and Titanium are all the way down to the shield wall. This is actually what this week looks like. They said the density is still higher in the PvP area, but so freaking what? It's here, it's safe, and abundant enough. Look at that, it's a buggy in the deep desert. Here's a hot take, and it's only hot because game devs don't seem to play video games or learn from other game devs. There has never been a game that has open world PvP that has catered for both PvP players and those who want PvE only endgame. Never happened. Does not exist. It's like trying to serve ice cream and hot soup in the same bowl. You will always make a mess. So what Funcom are trying to do here is just unachievable. Honestly, give me a name in the comments of a game that you think is an exception to this. I can't think of any. Albion is not like that. Guild Wars 2 is not like that. Rust or DayZ are not like that. You cannot have PvP endgame rewards be all available in PvE only areas. What are they doing? Who has ever done this? What's actually exclusive to PvP zones now? Big spice fields? So freaking what? Nobody will care. The only reason to PvP in this game right now is just to be a dickhead and annoy people. So the few players who are hardcore PvPers will be pissed off because the PvE players got their way and swung the game towards their benefit. They're putting the cart before the horse here. They're changing rocket weights and Orni griefing, but then removing nearly all reasons to PvP. You can't balance endgame before you have endgame. There's nothing here. There are no activities or structured goals or events or reward systems to PvP. Literally anything you need for endgame tier loot is available in the PvE safe zone or at best at the exchange. Let me give you a peek into the future and how this will play out. PvE players who enjoy Haga Basin, not interested in the deep desert, and will base build forever, will be annoyed because something as mundane as some safe flower patches have been moved into more dangerous zones, especially starting PvE players farming on bikes. They will also be annoyed that their cool looking designs with Pentashield boxes were taken away for no good reason. They will be brave enough to go to the deep desert, get the next tier easily in PvE, where all minerals and medium spice is now available. They will realize it's all for nothing because there is no PvE endgame. There are no real dungeons, or raids, or challenging bosses, or any PvE mechanics to keep interest. I mean, don't get me wrong, this patch, without a doubt, is a complete capitulation to PvE players and overall anti-PvP. But with no PvE endgame, there's only so much fun you can have with base building and decorations, and those PvE players will quit. Now PvP players will start whining when they see the game is skewed more towards PvE. Their innocent victims that they love to bully will disappear because there's far less incentive to take any risk. Base raiding is going to be a thing of the past probably, because there's far less reason to build bases in the PvP area when you can stay safe in the PvE section and have all high tier minerals and spice around you. The only real potential for PvP is big guilds going for the only exclusive thing left for the PvP zone, which is the big spice fields. And let's be honest, how many big guilds are left on your server who are fighting over resources with the current decline in population? And even if those exist, what's different? They're still playing Rocket League against each other the same way they were when the game launched. The problem remains the same. There's no endgame PvP content either. Just like PvE players, those players will also quit. And please, before you leave any emotionally charged comments, let me be clear. I'm not talking about myself or what I like here. I don't mind if the game has zero PvP, or it's all PvP from the tutorial in Haga Basin with spawn camping. I'm specifically talking about game design here. Actually, never mind. Leave all the emo angry comments, I love them. But seriously, the devs are delivering a masterclass in own goals and unforced errors. Funcom, please play some video games. This isn't rocket science. Other games exist that have tried and failed doing this please everyone nonsense. So please stop designing for everyone. This is the reality of what Funcom are dealing with. An unstoppable decline. You can say this is the nature of online games, but I beg to differ. Rust is a survival game, and it's pretty steady. Nobody can say Rust is a PvE-oriented game. Albion is the same. It's a PvP-oriented game. Yes, you can play the market and avoid PvP, but tier 7 and 8 only exist in PvP zones. Full stop. You have to take risk for the best reward. DayZ is stable too. Those games know their audience and they know how to keep them. They try to balance PvP and introduce PvP content while having PvE as a reasonable portion of the game if they have the bandwidth to design it. Or in Funcom's case, if they can afford to balance two games, make PvP and PvE a one-time choice when you create your character and make separate PvP and PvE servers with no option to cross-transfer, like PvP servers in WoW. Not that this is the best solution here, but at least people know from the start what the end goal is. Instead of funneling both PvE and PvP players down the same path, only to keep changing the game at the end to cater for one at the expense of the other. Funcom promised a big August update, and everyone thought they will finally give us actual endgame content. Instead, they tried to balance PvP with no real endgame to balance around. They tried to please everyone who complained about the things they don't like, and they managed to nearly piss off everyone. Even though this patch is big, they could have at least coupled it with a roadmap announcement, telling people to expect this bit of content, or this new game system, or zone, or any real future, or hope for players to hold on to. But no, they would rather see the game spiral down like this. Do you think this game can be salvaged? Are you still playing it? Are you annoyed as a PvP or as a PvE player at the current state of the game? Please let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you're interested in Titan Quest 2's early access that just dropped out of nowhere, please check out my review you see on the screen now. I'll see you in the next video.